not, it truly isn't about wins and losses, in my opinion. If you are coaching for wins and losses, you are always unsatisfied.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission to help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. Welcome back, Metalheads. It is Coach Toman here on the Mental Mettle Podcast. Just a quick update. Last week, I did a little stuff on the monthly Mettle Challenge, working on visualization. And if you didn't check it, you should go back and check it out. Just the power of visualization and how useful it is. And in that, I talk about just the different ways that visualization can be used, and then also how I'm going to start to apply it. I already use it all the time, visualization. And then I went ahead and used it recently. I was working with a very large group of coaches. I actually spoke to the entire athletic department of Midland University out in Nebraska. It is the largest athletics department in the state of Nebraska, something like 33 varsity sports. It was a room full of coaches on sports that I don't know anything about. Some I do. People, coaches, men, women that have been coaching for a long time in a lot of places. And, there's even I've been doing this a little bit, and I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing, but there's a little bit of, trepidation going into a room like that full of a lot of experience. So I use that visualization, running through my slides, running through what I'm going to say, but then visualizing how I'm going to show up and be confident, and how I'm going to respond when people have conversations and talk to me. And just, it really helps me to be able to do that. It went really well. I will never not use visualization when I got something big coming up, whether it's a jiu-jitsu tournament or a speaking engagement, or even now I've started to, and I get sales calls coming, like superintendents calling me, people calling me, and I'm going to have a big Zoom call, and I will sit down 20 minutes before and visualize what I'm going to say, how I'm going to act, how I'm going to respond when the camera comes up. I mean, these things matter. So if you didn't check that, go back and check out the episode on visualization, and it was really good. I just thought I'd give an update. I talked about how I'm going to use it. I have. It's great. Going to continue to do it. So really good stuff. But the other thing I noticed is my session out there at Midland University, and I'm doing some other coaching sessions with other coaches all summer, and I got a few coming up this fall, is that it's how well received my Ember to Inferno program is taken, how well received it is. And the stuff that I'm putting out there on mental health and helping coaches coach today's athlete, and understanding that they're not quite the same, the situation's not the same, and just being able to do that in the right way. And just finding that some really high level, really successful coaches that have been in the business for a while, have a lot to ask me, and are really interested in what I'm doing, and see it as the next step up for them. And I also start to notice this when I interview coaches that are very successful, that they're focusing on a lot of the things that I'm already doing. And today's guest is no exception. Abe Zeller is the head basketball coach for the Morton Potters here in Morton, Illinois. And Abe, we have just a great conversation on controllables, uncontrollables, mindfulness, playing present, and how he's able to do that with his athlete, what he focuses on, how he trains that way, I love how he adds adversity uh, in his practices, makes things really hard for the purpose of knowing that you can do something hard, but is present, that it does it with a present mentality and letting the kids know why we're doing it. So this has a goal, not just get on the line, we're going to run, and not, it's not just being hard for hard's sake. No, it has a reason. And I think that's one thing that is really useful for today's athlete is they want a little bit more of the why than the old school where we just, the kids, the athletes just had to do what they were told. And it's just different now. And right or wrong, whatever, there's good, there's bad, I guess. But that's the way it is. And I think it's good because I think if an athlete can know they did something really hard for the purpose of helping you get through other things that are going to be hard in a game and in life coming up, that's there's a lot of power in that, and knowing the idea, well, if I did this, then that means I can do this. And we have this, this great conversation about that with Abe Zeller here today about, again, controllables, uncontrollables, playing present, the use of adversity, and just how that helps athletes, because he talks about it here is it's not about just winning games, and how he wants to use the game of basketball, which is big in his family, is a lot of experience with Abe and his background, how he wants to use basketball to help kids grow kids and make kids better. And you see that in this interview with his passion, and really good interview. Abe's a great guy, great coach. So enjoy, pick up some notes, have your pen and paper out, take some notes. It's really good stuff. So I'll catch you on the other side. We're going to break some stuff down. Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Toman, at Mental Mettle Coaching. Mettle is a person's ability to face adversity in a spirited and resilient manner. It is a great skill to have for athletics and for life, but it is not something we are born with. If you want it, you have to forge your mettle. And if you listen to the Mental Mettle Podcast, you already know that, but not everybody else does yet. So help me out by ordering and wearing some sweet The Mental Mettle Podcast gear. We've got short sleeve tees, long sleeve tees, and some super comfortable hoodies. Order online today and you can have your gear in no time. But the best part is that every order helps support the show and helps me spread the message that mental toughness is a trait that can and should be built. So find the link in the show notes, order your gear, and start showing that you know how to forge your mettle. All right, welcome back to the show, the Mental Mettle Podcast here. Coach Toman here, and I'm here with my guest today, Morton Potters, head basketball coach Abe Zeller. How you doing, Coach?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so we're at the end of summer. We're recording here. It's almost August. School's about to start. I love summer basketball.
For sure.
Right? Like working with your team. I don't
There's
know.
no pressure, no expectations, and just a chance to build relationships, build some chemistry, find out a little bit of identity about some guys without feeling the Friday night lights being on.
Yeah, it's like you can go win some games, you can lose some games, and you can be like, oh, we're getting better, or we're working on this, we're getting better. And it's just like, and don't get me wrong, a Friday night basketball game in central Illinois, you can't beat it, but it comes with stuff, right? That you just don't get in the summers, nobody cares. And sometimes that's better.
It just gives you a chance. I just always say I just love to see all my guys. Like in the wintertime, I tell my guys, in a hard game, we might only go 7 deep. I would love if we went deeper, but I tell my guys every summer game we're gonna play 10 or 12 deep and give everybody opportunities, because unfortunately that opportunity doesn't all it happens in practice every day, but it doesn't always happen in the game. So I think that's even a bigger reason why summer is so important, is just everybody actually has a chance to show out and show up with what they've been working on and get better at.
Yeah. Well, do you have a philosophy for summer? Like, do you like even put plays in? Is it all?
No, everyone's a little different. I do not. We don't put any plays in. We maybe draw up a few plays of the last year, like, hey, at the end of a game, if there's something we really need. But I think summer is about letting them have freedom and seeing what can we come up with in a way on our own in a motion setting, and then bottle that up and then work with that in the wintertime, because sets are sets. I think you can there's lots of good sets, and if you got the dudes to run them, they're going to work really well. But to me, a set is something that can be installed a week before regional if you really want to add another set, where like the chemistry and the actual actions of the play is what I'm more about in the summer. So we run no sets, and we just try to just talk about actions, and then if we have success with those actions, then saying, all right, do we see how we got McKee open for that three without us running Tiger One or whatever other set he would
Right.
run? And we can do that because the team's not going to be able to scout that near as well as they'd be able to scout us setting up this alignment and then saying, all right, it's easier to scout. So if you can run good motion, and that comes, I think it starts in the summer. So
Yeah. No, it's interesting because we do that, and then it's like, I know that we say that in the summer, and then we get it in the winter. We like, oh, we run every sets, and sometimes it makes me wonder. Sometimes maybe we should just like how often you if we overset sometimes.
I would say I think you have the tendency to do that, and then it does, and then those guys they lose their freedom and their
Yeah.
ability to, if you want to say, just do their own thing. They're looking at doing it like robotically, and I would much rather it be them, reacting to a decision. So you either cut or you kick up, or different things like that, where they're having to just read and react.
Yeah. No, it's just I just love summer, and I'm just talking about just I don't know. There is more freedom to it, and it seems like it's more fun sometimes, and that I really enjoy it.
Sure.
Um, so let's get into Coach. I love to start every podcast, every interview with just a little bit of, I don't know if I want to say bona fides, but tell me some of your background in basketball, what you've done, and kind of what led you to this. I mean, you've been coaching now for 24 years, right?
Yep.
Something had to be like, I want to do this, right? Like, give me some background.
Yeah. So I I'm the youngest of four brothers, or three siblings, and we were all heavy into sports, and basketball ruled the roost in the Zeller household. My mom was a Mies, so my uncle Pete was a longtime coach at Gridley High School in the 70s and 80s, and my cousin Tim Mies was a longtime coach at Eureka, and then his son Nathaniel obviously also coaches. So the Mies side of the family has a lot of teachers and coaches in it. And from really the get go, I knew I wanted to be involved in basketball. I loved being, I started out, I remember being for Coach Fairchild, the water boy for my older brother Benji's teams, and even teams before him, and just going into those locker rooms at halftime, and just being in starstruck of just what the locker room's like, and just listening to Coach Fairchild and other coaches just talk and diagram on the board. And I was just hooked as far as coaching went there. And then basketball has just always been part of my life. Loved playing it, played it all the way through from the start, third grade till played then 2 years in college at Clark College in Dubuque, Iowa. I had a good experience, but I knew I wanted to get back into coaching, or I knew I wanted to coach, and I just thought that maybe my career of basketball was finished, done playing, and so I transferred back to Illinois State and started helping out my cousin Tim as a varsity assistant for a year, and then landed a junior high job at DMAC, where I coached junior high ball for 2 years while I was still finishing up my student teaching. And landed at Peoria Christian for my first teaching gig right after being married, and learned a lot under Fred Fox. And before Fred Fox, Mitch Holmgren really is where it started. His passion for the game, as we both know Mitch well. He was a great mentor of mine. I learned a ton, and still can learn from him, obviously. And so just had great mentors in Mitch Holmgren and Tim Meese, and my uncle Pete, obviously too, and Fred Fox. So 4 guys that definitely have coached a lot of years and won a lot of games. And I was just a sponge with all of those guys, and just kind of picked things from each of them that made me kind of a little bit who I am today.
You can't. That's a really good list of mentors you got. Not to disparage any of the others, but just Tim is like, I don't know. I can remember the first time I'd met Tim a little bit, but then I got invited to like a coach's roundtable, and I can remember, I didn't know anything, right? And I'm at this coach, and he is like, when I would speak, he would listen and try to get something for me, and I'm like, why is he getting? Why would Tim Meese try to get anything from me? And then a couple weeks ago, I did a basketball camp, and Tim was like, "Hey, can I come by and pay attention to it?" And I'm like, what could Tim Meese have anything to gain from listening to me and the way I did something? But that's how he is. So, but it's so, honestly, as I'm sitting here talking to you, Abe, I'm like, man, I need to get Tim on the show, because for whatever, like he is he's a sponge, even at his, he's older than us, but he's still a sponge and always want to absorb everything. And I think there's a lot of lesson there.
For sure. No, I remember we worked at, you maybe would know this, Dick Baumgartner's shooting camp in Indiana. Tim has worked it for many years. He was one of the top shooting coaches at it the last however many years. And every time there was lecturing by anybody, Tim would have his notepad, and it made me learn how this is how you take notes every single time somebody's talking, because you never know what little message or thing is going to resonate with you that you're going to be able to use and connect. And so it's the notes that Tim took and still takes is something that I've grown and learned from, and tried to become a better note taker for. So
that just amazes me about him. So the fact that it doesn't surprise me at all that you're having some success as a coach, having those guys kind of mentor you and do it. And then, man, you skip, Abe. I see your name every time I go over to the HOIC tournament. You're always in there, man. I know you're not going to bring it up, but I always see that in there, because not a lot of people get the chance to drop 49. I can't believe you couldn't get one more out of your coach to drop 50, but to drop 49 in a HOIC at the Shirk Center, that's a big night, right?
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was one night. It was a good night. I can jokingly, I guess, take the claim until it gets broken. But yeah, that was it was funny. The game actually was stalled a little bit because there was a reffing mix up. I remember, and the refs showed up late, and I don't know if there was that time before allowed me to even be more just relaxed, but I just remember feeling relaxed the whole game. And I think you can play better, as I've told my guys many times, like vibe matters. And so it was just one of those nights where the hoop was big. But anyway.
Yeah, no, it's Yeah, well, I mean, it's a tough record to break because I mean, the way the HOIC play is played a lot. There's a lot of times a team doesn't get to 49.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no. I don't know how long it will stay, but until it gets broken, I guess I'll
you'll
take bragging
I'm
rights.
sure you'll take it. So let's talk to. I know you started about the talk, your coaching career, but I know how many years did you spend at Roanoke Benson?
15 years at Ronald Benson.
Okay.
It was a great place to coach and teach. I actually, it's funny. I'm gonna be brutally honest. My coaching track record, I've always lost before I've won, as far as getting what I've wanted to get. I was at Peoria Christian for 3 years, and after 3 years of JV ball, I was like, man, I'm ready. I'm ready for this varsity. I'm ready for that next seat over. Even though I'm never ready for it, but everyone always thinks you're ready for it. And so I applied for the RB job. Matt Gordon which is funny, his son Tyler now plays for me at Morton, but he had just uh, finished up coaching there, and I had a few connections on the board, and then I thought, man, this is going to be a perfect spot to land. And I made it, if you want to say, the final three, and then I lost out. I did not get the job, and it was actually, I found out the day I didn't get the job was the day I was the best man for one of my best friend's weddings, and I was not, and I tried to cover it up and fake being happy, but honestly, I was so mad that entire day because I just felt like I should have gotten the job, but that was
Mm-hmm.
not in for it. And then 3 years later, I applied again and I got the job, and that was awesome. And then actually at Morton, I actually applied for the Morton job before I got it, when Frank's got it, which just wasn't meant to be. And then I reapplied and luckily got it. So I've learned that it's okay to lose and not get what you want, and then who knows, life comes back at you, and you maybe get another shot at it. So
No, I think that there's a lot of lesson there, and it's probably, if we dive deep enough, we can. It's all about your perspective too, because you can dive deep enough to go, no, it's probably a good thing that I didn't get it at that point.
sure, right.
There's
It wasn't meant to be. Yeah.
yeah. So what are the take some? So there's a difference in, and again, nothing good, bad, whatever here, but there's a difference in levels in going from Roanoke Benson up to a
Sure.
middle line team in Morton. What's I don't know. I just want to speak to that a little bit on the differences, the lessons you get from Roanoke that still apply here. What's I don't know, just run with that.
Well, I would say the thing that's for sure that I found out that's the same no matter where you're at, is that the opportunity to go on a journey. I mean, that doesn't change. You because I've always said the big time's where you're at. So 15 years at Roanoke Benson, and had I stayed there at Roanoke Benson for my whole career, there would have been nothing bigger than being the Roanoke Benson Rockets basketball coach. Um, and then coming to Morton, it's just, nothing's bigger now than being the Morton Potters basketball coach. So the journey, I think, is the same, and really the coaching is the same. The difference, obviously, is the amount of. I would say that the thing that made me always think possibly that would I ever want to make a change is just numbers of guys that really love basketball. And so, if as a coach, I don't think speaking to the coaching side of things, like, coaches don't coach for the money. They coach because they themselves love that sport, and that's their way of, in a way of hanging on to something that they love to do, and now they get to have that passion to allow other guys to enjoy the same thing that I enjoyed. When I talk about my past basketball, I still get good. I mean, the chills that go through when you connect and you're talking about your seasons, and like, we just got back from our team bonding lake trip last Wednesday and Thursday, and we had some time to bond, and I just remember talking to the guys, and even showing my raising my arm up, like, guys, all those hairs are standing up because I'm thinking right now about what we can be this next year on this journey. So those things stay the same, but having more guys that want, because RB had obviously lovers of basketball, but a smaller school, you're not going to have the same
It's
amount
just
of guys
it's just a number. It's just it's a numbers thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
really, that was probably, I mean, other than that, I mean, in the season, I don't know if there's much different. Outside, I guess the one big difference between Morton and RB would just be I paid assistants. Like at
Yeah.
RB, I had a JV coach, and then I suckered my dad 12 years ago or 13 years ago after my first 2 years to just be on the bench because I knew I would at least get honest opinions from him of what he thought, right or wrong. So, and now then you come to Morton and you have a paid freshman job, a paid JV job, a paid varsity assistant job, where that guy is solely thinking about the same things I'm thinking about, and we want the varsity team to be. I mean, those were probably the biggest things that changed as far as just having more guys, paid guys, that are wanting to see the basketball program succeed as much as I did.
Yeah, did it take you a little bit to figure out how to use that correctly?
I think it's still taking me. I because I even said it. I go for 15 years. I did it really for 18 years. Even before that, like before I mean, I learned and got mentored, and then when I was from the time I did junior high and then JV ball and varsity ball, all those years, I was either just me, or one assistant or a JV coach that was still focused on his JV team, but also with me. But I remember when the year I helped Mitch at JV, if my JV team lost, if I lost a hard game, there was times where my brain could not shut off the game before, and I'm still PO'd about how I didn't call a
Yeah.
timeout at the end of the game, and here Mitch is trying to ask me questions about the varsity game, and so even connecting that, so I knew if I could sometimes not always like compartmentalize the two, how hard is it for anybody else to do it, and so that's just been huge to have a varsity assistant that the whole time, prep time, everything is about the same thing that I'm thinking about. There's no JV team that he's thinking about first or freshman team that he's thinking about first. He is paid to make the varsity team. We are paid to make the varsity team be as good as it can be. And so that's been really, really fun to have Coach Schroeder on as my varsity assistant.
I've done several different coaching stints doing different stuff, but I think that the varsity assistant might be one of my favorites because it's like it never falls on you, but you
Right.
get to, like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure,
Like
yeah.
it's a fun gig.
Yeah.
I like that spot. It's fun. Not that I like being in charge. But I can take it. But it's like I like that varsity assistant. It's a fun spot.
Yep. I
So,
agree. I think so.
speaking of going back to Roanoke Benson, I want to talk a little bit about when you're talking about these years and this stuff. I mean, you had, like, I don't know how you describe it, and that's what I want to hear is you had like the best / worst year, right? And you know what I mean, right? It's when we talk about. I love to talk about controllables and uncontrollables, and that's something that you mentioned, and we might talk about. Uncontrollables usually don't include a worldwide pandemic that stops a state title run.
Right.
But for you it did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I think
I mean, it's hard I'm sure it's probably still hard to talk about.
it is. I spoke my first year at Morton. I spoke at Rotary, and when it was question time, one of the ones asked me about that season, and I did not think I would get emotional, but I ended up getting emotional in that moment. So I'm gonna hold it together here, Matt. But
it's all good here.
It's one of those things where, like, you had in the moment of the season of that journey, like, it's just, as when you were like the grind. So you're just going, and it's just, you're not thinking of anything else but that next week, so we, like, that journey, that whole season was so enjoyable to do, to do what we did, and to win the games we won, and just the whole season was awesome. So you win at ISU, and you think, you're at state, and there was talk, and there was a little worry, but in the back of my mind, up until at the walkthrough, I thought we were still doing it. Like, we're at Carver Arena, we're on the floor, we did all the practices, Matson did the interviews and the picks, and and then we go back to our hotel room. And it was like, I don't know if it was 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that's when the NCAA tournament shut down. And then when the NC, and then I looked at my assistant, we were up maybe watching, and I just like, there's no way. Like that was the moment I think
Yeah.
before Kirk Gibson actually said that we were shutting it down. I kind of I thought there was no way. But so that it was really, really hard. But in the moment, perspective, I think perspective in life is key. Like we talked a little bit about perspective already. Like, so for me, without knowing anything, without not seeing it now, after the math of however long it's been since COVID now, 5 years or whatever it's been. I just took it as like, there's people hurting worse than like, so like that's how I tried to spin it. Like, no matter how bad it hurt in that thinking about, I was like, well, there's people all over doing a lot. Like there's the stories that were happening and everything
Right.
you were hitting, the sickness that was going on and whatnot. It was a little bit hard for me to feel sorry for myself. And when you look at what other people were going through, as I reflect and look back on it, very, very sad that we couldn't finish it out, but that doesn't take away the journey that we were able to go on, and we ended with a win. And now, I guess it's now the only thing you're going to have is 2020 is going to be that there are 4 1A and 4 2A teams that will talk for the rest of their lives how they would have won it, right?
Yeah. No.
Goreville would have said they would have won it. Madison's going to say they're going to win it. Roper Christian's going to say they would have won it, and rightfully so, because we were all there.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
At the end of looking back, I mean, it's just been a few years now, but in 20 years, looking back, I hate to say it won't make a difference, but it's actually almost like it's more people get to share that joy. It's almost interesting. Yeah.
Right. And that's a story. That's something that, and I look forward. We just talked, we have not had, it would be 5 years. It would have been 5 years this last season. And we didn't have a reunion yet, but I look forward to the busyness of life and me, I think it would have been easier to have a reunion had I stayed at RB, but I do look forward to having a reunion with those guys and getting together and just connecting and seeing. I'm going to actually one of their, Luke Brayman, my big's getting married next week in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm going to be seeing him and a few other guys in Ohio for that wedding. But to get all the guys back together, might even be hard to do, but I would look forward to seeing a majority of those guys in a setting where we can just reconnect.
Yeah, it just makes it really hard, especially you had been there, well, over 10 years at that point, right? Like this is like when you're at a small school like that, like I knew that group because my son had played against all those guys. So, yeah. I mean, you'd had that group coming up for like, this isn't like, oh, when people look at it, it's like, oh, you had a good year that got shut down. No, this was like at a small school like that. It's like a senior year is like the culmination of like watching these kids up from 6th grade up and be like, oh, we've got something here, and watching it for years develop that makes it so difficult.
For sure. And honestly, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I thought it was going to be a 2-year run. Like,
right.
Because the next year we would have had Brayman and Early and the younger Weber, and we would have had pieces to put together. Because that COVID, if you want to say that COVID year, we had a good year. We lost to you guys and we lost to Metamora. Those were our 2 losses that year.
Wow.
So we were like 16-2, whatever. We went undefeated in the. So it would have been a good year had nothing of COVID ever happened and it was just normal basketball in Illinois. I think, But again, that did not happen, and that wasn't meant to be. And when you go back and think about perspective in life, that moment, as disappointing in a sports situation as it was in the whole grand scheme of things, doesn't compare to what many others go through for different things.
No, it is. You got to have perspective. You got to look at things positively because you can't do much about it. And so
can't control it.
And you mentioned that because you mentioned that in your pre-interview about focusing on the controllables. And that is probably one of the most used sayings anymore. And it's something I coach people around all the time, that it's easy to say and it's hard to do. Right? Like we want to say it, but then when it actually happens, it's really hard to do. And that's something that from what I got, it's something that you really try to instill to your guys. But I'm just curious, how do you how do you follow through with that in the way that you coach and the way that you speak?
Well, that's the big part of it, because first of all, it's got to be, you have to show it. Your actions have got to be, you can't just talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. So, you know, the good thing is I'm now 45 years of age. I've been coaching long enough that, like, things that I did when I started RB at 27 years of age, I have grown and matured, and now I can control myself better. Not that I don't fail still, but, like, first off, I can control myself better. And I think you take ownership when you don't control what you can control. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ownership and control, you control are two things I say all the time. Because, like, if I mess up and I failed, which is going to happen in life, failure will happen. But if you don't take ownership for your failure and you make excuses and you give reasons why, well, then you're saying that you weren't able to handle it. It wasn't your fault. There was the circumstances, or he did it to me. And so, or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, no, you control how you respond even to what. So, like, you can go so many different ways with control, what you can control. But, like, definitely in our, and I'm a defensive minded coach. That's another way I like to say it, is because offensive, I don't think we control. Defense tries to dictate what you do offensively, and not that offense doesn't have the upper hand, because defense is always just reading what the offense is doing and trying to react to it. Not that you can't somewhat dictate, but, like, what I'm getting at is that I can for what I really care. Not that I don't care about offense, but since I care so much,
Gotcha. Yeah.
I can spend that, because we can decide. None of that, like where the ball is, or it doesn't affect our stance. It doesn't affect if we have a high hand. It doesn't affect if we have meaningful communication and gap or helpline or whatever it is that those are things. Everything defensively, really, we can control with our effort, our attitude, and playing hard. So
I like that, how you take that idea and you apply it to something that means something to you, right? That it's in the way that you coach, in the sense that, like, we're going to control what we can control defensively, and how you apply it, right? So it shouldn't stop it. Oh, we're down by this, or this kid's scoring this, or they got this player, whatever. It shouldn't change the fact that we are communicating.
Right.
It can't change how we're going to get in the stance. I like that you're actually putting that into place and doing it. I also like the idea that we can remember all these uncontrollables, but we can always control our response to them and how we're going to react towards them. And I think that's because I think what happens is, I've noticed when we have conversations about controllables and uncontrollables, when we speak uncontrollables, our natural human reaction is, when we talk about uncontrollables, we automatically go to those are negative. Right. Well, in fact, there's probably a lot of controllables that are in our favor, but we see that negative uncontrollables. So it's like, when we see it that way, we have to know, how am I going to respond to those uncontrollables and spin them to my favor or influence them. And that's.
Parents, is your athlete ready for the upcoming sports season? They might have the strength, the speed, and the skills, but without confidence, they could still struggle when the game is online. Skill and strength are great, they're necessary, but they're not used to their full potential without the right mentality. Confidence is key. It's the key to unlocking that full potential. And at Mental Mettle Coaching, I offer personalized sessions designed to build the confidence your athlete needs for a successful season. My proven techniques empower them to perform under pressure, both on the field and in life. Don't let a lack of confidence hold them back. Book a free session today and discover the power of confidence. Visit the website, get started on the journey to a more confident, successful athlete with Mental Mettle Coaching.
I enjoy that. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. It's a mindset.
Well, the other thing is like, I think, as you kind of allude to, when you're younger, I think a lot of coaches talk about kids and how they're focusing on the wrong things or looking at uncontrollables, but then that same coach will be spend the entire time yelling at the officials or
Right.
complaining about the schedule or complaining about this and complaining about that, and then can't understand why their kids are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. No, I need to, I looking in the mirror daily and making
It's
sure
hard.
that I am not giving my guys excuse or anything that I can control, and I'm taking the same ownership that I'm asking those guys to take. Is definitely a big part of it. They gotta see that I'm doing the same.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another thing that you mentioned that you try to tell your kids is how you want to play present. And I'm curious, one, what you mean by that. I kind of think I know, but what you mean by that, and then how do you pull that off?
So you probably would know this guy's name, I would guess, but maybe not. He's kind of done with basketball. He's doing more kind of like big CEO training stuff. But Alan Stein's that name ring a bell?
Oh yeah, the guy's he's fantastic, right?
So I've been an Alan Stein fan from way back. Actually, funny story. I don't know. It was a Chicago Nike clinic of like '08. Me and the Peoria Christian staff are there, and Alan Stein, it's like his first year he's speaking. He's only like he's 22, 20, a young guy. And we just happened to start talking to him afterwards, and we ended up going to pizza with him
Mm-hmm.
and picking his brain the whole night. And that's where I was a follower of Alan Stein from that
Right.
day forward. But he talks about playing present, and he's, like that, and it's not rocket science. It's about, you can't control what just happened. So if you're mad about the turnover you just had or the missed box out or you name whatever, basketball or any other sport or thing, you can't control that. And if you're worried about the future and you're like the what if, like what if I like that you but it's about playing present right here in this possession, and then it's about the next. And so never thinking about the past and never worrying about the future. And then my guys always run. I always give them the opportunity to pick a slogan for the. And that year, when I came back from that, or not, that would have been that year, but a few years later, when I brought up that one of my seniors, that's what they decided to put on the back of our shirt. So so that was our saying for that year, of just making sure that every time you play present. And it was an easy saying, even in the middle of a game, for the guys to connect with each other and recognize if there was some frustration because of what was going to happen, or some feeling of pressure, anxiety of what the future maybe held, pre-game, or however you want to look at it. Just that saying of just playing present, I think, allows you to reset and really just focus on that. I mean, basketball is about playing, in my opinion, is playing, doing everything as crazy hard as you can every possession that you play, and then resetting it and doing it again. And that's so hard. I mean, I just was watching last night. It was a college football SEC going through, and every coach, it was great. I love listening to coaches talk, and because the messages are the same no matter what sport they are.
I know.
So it was just reconfirmed to me, like, okay, those things, if that can be said in Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee and all the other schools that are big time football SEC schools, and it can work at RB or at Morton or wherever I'm at.
Yeah, I just think that there's like a lot of times we can look at a perspective, like you can have a game that's like, I don't know, a minute left, tie game, and you've got two teams there, and one team had been up 10 and another team had been down 10, and you've got two teams in the same spot, but one team is like, oh, we're reeling because we were up 10, right? And another team that's got all this momentum. But
Right.
But the real fact is that when you're in your huddle, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, but it just affects so much, and it's because that play present speaks to mindfulness, right? And when we're not mindful, we're usually looking at one of two things: either something that just happened in the past or something that we'll worry about in the future. And it's an absolute skill to be able to do that. And I think that's what's so important about it. It's not just saying that, but actually training that and working on that is so important. So that the fact that you're doing that
with your guys, making that be a focus it has to help.
That's the hope. That's the hope is
Yeah.
you're putting things out there for them to grab and to be able to connect when things are hard. Even I just listened to a podcast on from JP Nerman. I think the guy, it's a culture. Shoot, I just got the book. Hold on a second. The Culture System. Great
Okay.
book. And he does a lot of podcasts too. But he just stay in that, like allowing kids, putting them in situations that are hard. It was about like teaching them ways to like get past what they think they can't get past. And that was,
Right.
for me, it was good. I'm going to try to utilize some harder, like a practice on a Saturday, maybe that first week or whatever. I'm trying to decide, like, how can I do something really hard? Like I just saw the Bradley Braves just had something on Twitter about they had their trainer did some really tough like competitions outside, and it was just some good bonding for them. But those connections that then maybe allow you to like use that in a timeout or any other, like, remember when we did this or did that. And it's just and I not that I haven't had hard practices, but I've never in my years of coaching, I've never done, like people might say like the hell week, or like this was the bad day or whatever they might use. Like I haven't like purposely, like we've had hard practices, I believe, but I haven't like purposely said, okay, that's what this is about. This practice is only going to be about just having our guys go through something, have to finish it and get it done, and have it maybe be so hard that we can use that to connect later. Like, we thought this isn't going to be hard, fellas. Remember when we did whatever it is that we might do? So that's just something I've been wrestling with after listening to a few podcasts kind of talking about that, and how can I set something up that is so hard that it allows them to connect, like, and they were able to control what they could do, type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that I like to say that confidence is evidence based, right? So if you want confidence, you have to have some evidence to back it up. So if you've had evidence, that you've been able to go through something really hard, that affects your confidence. So that so long as that you actually recall it and recognize it. And then also, as you set up that hard thing, let them know that that's what it's for, right?
This is what we're doing it for, right?
I think some of the old school way to do it was just, we're just going to, like, kids didn't understand. I know when I was doing a lot, I did it because I liked it so well that I made it through. But the old school was, we just did it. We didn't really understand why we were doing it. There was no connection. We just know we hated it, right? But, and they still not going to, your kids aren't going to like it, but at least they know what it's about or why.
Sure.
And I think that part's
big.
Yeah. I think that was huge.
Yes.
What about, I know you got, we talked earlier, you got a lot of seniors, you got a big team. Like it's a good and bad. It's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on when you got that many kids.
Yeah. No, this will be the most seniors I've ever had, so that will be a new experience. Before this, the most I'd had was 7. I had 7 seniors one year at RB, and it was a great team. We were a state-ranked team. We unfortunately lost by 2 to a regional championship. That seems to have happened a few years here in Morton also. But no, I think having 8 seniors, which is what we have as of right now going out. It is, the good thing is that they have a really tight bond. It's a good group. It's not like sometimes you can get like 2 different, you could have a group of junior, senior, so whatever, and maybe it's kind of even split into 2 groups. I would say that the 8 seniors have connections that allow them to have a tight bond, and our juniors there's a connection with them too. So like it'll be the first year where we will be super, junior and senior heavy for sure, of my 3 years and more. Not that we haven't been junior, we've been junior, senior heavy, I think, every year, but we've also had, like, Reed Newhoff as a sophomore might be the only underclassman up. I don't know. That has yet to be decided, and time will tell. But it'd just be a very senior and junior dominated team, which can be exciting with the maturity that goes along with that.
And and your son is in that mixes too, which is a whole nother dynamic as coaching, which we could, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, no, it's been, Jude has been transitioning to Morton, and not that it's been hard on Jude, but transition's hard.
Sure it is.
So there was obviously some growth that he went through his sophomore and junior year, and now I'm excited for him to have his senior year, and with those all those other seniors, he's grown to really connect with all those guys, and they've established some great friendships that hopefully this last basketball journey that these seniors get to go on is a memorable one. But the good thing is before that, these guys, and we talked about this at our camping trip last week, and it's like just every journey. I don't care whatever sports you play, golf, cross country, soccer, football in the spring, in the fall. Like those are all journeys that as a senior, those guys are going to remember. Like your senior year is just something special. It's just different.
Yeah.
And so I just tried to reiterate to them, don't lose sight of the enjoyment of your season, because when it's gone, even you college guys, because I brought up the college guys, with your son and you yourself, it's not the same.
No,
it can be great. It can be the best for some, but for me, and that's why I coach. Why I never even really thought about coaching at the college level. High school was where it was at. I could not. If you asked me right now, if there was a time machine, if Michael J. Fox said, "Let's go ahead and get in the DeLorean and head back to 1998," I'm redoing my senior year right now. And I love everything, and I want to come back to being a dad and a father and a husband and all that. But I loved my senior year. I would run it back and try to be better and win a regional championship instead of losing to El Paso. But I would, those things I would want to do it again because I had so much fun.
Yeah, I don't know about the guys you have. I don't. Maybe you do, but unless you've got guys that are going to go play Power 5, and I mean this, unless they're doing that, they are not going to experience an environment like they are for the rest of this year at the Middle Illini. It's not happening.
No, this atmosphere is not the same.
It's not.
So that's I try to tell them that there's something about what what you guys have for this next school year for these seniors, and I think that my seniors for the last 2 years and all my seniors that are, I think they would all attest to that. They would agree. Yes, Coach, you were right, because we all know every single one of us that played, we all are like, man, if only I could go back. I mean.
Well, that's the beautiful part about it. With all that excitement and all that, there's expectations and there's pressure. So when your kids, and when we're talking about all this stuff about control the controllables and playing present, if you can get your kids to do that, I mean, I can go off on tangents like this forever, but if you can get a high school kid to be able to handle that pressure and do those things and learn how to do it, I'm telling you, they're going to be set for life, because they really are, and that's what's so awesome about high school athletics when we do it right. Do it right, yeah,
for sure.
All right, Coach. Last thing here, last question. What did I not ask you that I should have? What did we not talk about? What did I miss?
I don't know. I don't know if we missed anything. The one thing that I speaking, I guess, to all coaches, we have there isn't a better job, in my opinion, to impact kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the journey, I'd love to win. I'm a competitor. I don't think everyone wants to. Everyone will say no one's as competitive as me. I would argue that statement, even though I know there's truth to that. Everyone who's competitive is going to say that I'm a competitor. Yeah. So that is definitely the case. But looking back, even though I'm so competitive, I've won two regional championships, in 18 years of varsity basketball. I've been to a lot of regional championships and lost by 2 and 3 and 1, but so like if it was all about like I just think coaches need to and they I think a lot of us do, but like it truly isn't about wins and losses in my opinion. If you are coaching for wins and losses, you are always unsatisfied. But I think even when you win it all, or you like the year I didn't win it all, but it wasn't like that year I was like, oh, I've reached some pinnacle of and now I can be done. No, it just made me want to try to do it again or do it more. Like so it's not the journey is the journey to always be to make your group, because if you don't have talent, you aren't going to win a state.
It doesn't matter. No.
I can't be like, well, I don't have talent this year, so this year's a waste. No, it's not a waste. This year is as important as any other year, or I'm saying every year, no matter if I'm 500, below 500, or our team is 6-1 and going to maybe play for a state championship at Carver Arena. It's still always about the journey and making it teaching guys the true important parts of life through sport. And I love that I get to do that. So every high school coach has opportunities, every college coach, every junior high coaches have opportunities to leave an impact on kids. And the more I coach and having kids myself and having a son who's a senior, I think my perspective has changed on win at all costs to have our guys reach a level of playing that they can reach at all costs. I mean, like it's not about wins, because if we don't have the dudes in Metamora or Washington or Dunlap has better dudes that day, that night, they might beat us based on just now. I think we have the dudes, but
right. No, I got you, but I get what you're saying. And I just love when you're talking about that, the leverage that a coach has to affect a kid's life. I agree. It's awesome. I don't think there's in school districts. I don't think anybody has more leverage or ability to affect a kid's life. I genuinely believe that. But I think coaches also have to remember it's a responsibility, because it's
yes,
like if you it's like you awesome power, awesome responsibility. Sure. It's the old Spider-Man line, right? Like, and I genuinely mean that, because you can make mistakes and do things wrong that really affect a kid for a long time if we don't do it right. So I think that's just so powerful there to think that and know that. It's a lot of pressure, but it's so much fun to do it.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, great conversation. I'll get out and watch a couple games this year. Can't wait for season. And we're a little ways off, but it's once school starts, it goes fast.
It does. Yeah, I'm excited for fall sports to start up here in a couple weeks, and then I'm excited for to see our journey take place come November. So
awesome. Well, best of luck.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Thanks, Coach.
Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set.
Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient and persistent and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Toman, at Mental Mettle Coaching.
A couple of tidbits there from that interview that I really enjoy that I'm going to lean into. Just really talking about, I loved that he talks about controllables and uncontrollables, and I loved how he talked about it, how he applies it to defense, and how there are things that a defensive team can always do, their attitude, their effort, but then also how we're going to get in the stance, how we're going to talk. But knowing that those things that we always do we can always do those things despite the fact that there's a whole lot of uncontrollables going on around us, because that on defense, it's very reactionary. You can try to force the issue and keep the ball at a side or trap or do something like this, but it's a lot of reaction because you have to be reacting to where the ball goes or where your man goes. So it's mostly reaction, but reacting to those things with your controllables. What a great way to talk about that with defense. Like, we don't want to change what we do based on what they do. And that's a really good idea. I can see why he's very successful at the defensive end, because that's a good thing, not just to do, but to preach to your kids, right? That's so useful for life, right? There's things that life is going to throw at me, right? Life throws all these things, but that doesn't change what I do. I am this, I'm going to do this, and knowing what you want to do. Now, I think that there's two parts to that. One, I think you have to have a pretty good focus on what you are and what you want to be, not just in basketball, but in life. This is what I stand for. This is what I am. This is what I'm going to be. And then manage to stay true to that despite what happens. And that's powerful. That's how we take something like basketball and apply it to life, and how we do this as you watch your athletes become husbands, fathers, wives, spouses, all these things, mothers, just all these things, watching them grow. That's what we're doing. We're preparing them for that life. And then I also really love how he breaks down playing present. And he kind of said in there that, you have to play, because you do have to play basketball, full speed, always getting after it. But it is a possession by possession game. But it doesn't change, again, what you're trying to do and what you're trying to focus on. Each possession is a new game, and you can't let the last possession affect you, and you can't let the fear of the next possession bother you. You have to be very present on what you're trying to do. Really, really powerful stuff. And just his story in there. When you talk about uncontrollables and his ability to do that, and it's honestly helped by the fact that he had that year with COVID just shut down. That is the most uncontrollable you can imagine. I knew Abe at the time, and just felt so bad for his team to run through that. So he had 2 years, but they had a state title run shut down by COVID, and then the next year we didn't play a postseason at all. Sometimes that's something I notice. I talk about with my son that happened because he was that same age, and how he didn't get to play, do all these things. But so I feel it. But Abe they were in the middle of that state title run and doing those things, and it's tough. I do think that going through those things, you kind of have to develop that mindset that I'm going to do what I do regardless. And if you can come through of a difficult situation like that, it gives you some perspective that there are other things other than the wins and losses. And again, Abe talks about that, how it's not about that. You can hear the passion in his voice, how he's going to do that, how he likes helping his kids, and how you're going to be disappointed if it's all about the wins and losses. And that is what I love doing. That's what I love talking to coaches and athletes about. I do my Ember to Inferno program, all about that, about focusing on controllables, mindfulness, do all those things in that, and how not just why it's so important, but some tools to actually do that. So I love going into schools and working with the coaches on giving them some background. I'm a very science-based guy. I love the research, talking about the research on how it's so helpful. And then not only that, but how we can apply it to your own life, because I think coaches need that too. As adults, we need to do that, but not just their own life, but their kids, and how they can put it in their practice plans. It's very task focused, like how are we going to apply this stuff? It's not just cerebral stuff. How are we going to apply it? And I love doing that. And then I do the same anytime I work with an individual athlete. Same stuff. It's always, I think that growing mentally and changing a mindset is about two things. You have to have recognition. You have to have repetition. So we have to have the recognition that, hey, I'm focusing on uncontrollables. Hey, I'm not playing present. I'm focused on the past, future, things like that. We have to have that recognition that we talk about where we want to be. I'd rather play like this. I'd rather act like this. That would help me out. I would do better. And then we start putting tools in place to be able to make that happen. And that's how we change. Recognition, repetition. Doesn't matter what we do. That's what we do. That's how we change. That's how we get better. And I love doing that stuff. And I love talking to coaches that are doing this, because I know that that's my passion, is to help people realize how sports is just this perfect way to teach athletes how to live life. And if you're not doing that, there's so much responsibility on coaches. I think you have to be doing this. You have to be helping your athletes learn how to deal with the adversity of athletics, so they can learn to deal with the adversity of life. And that, if you're missing out on that, you're missing the boat. You're missing why we do athletics. Surely kids get scholarships and it does other things, but when we're talking about helping the group as a whole, that's the point. That's what we're doing. That's what we should be doing as coaches. I love it. Great interview with Abe. He's a really good, shining example of that, and I wish him luck. So great stuff. Thanks for joining me again. I appreciate it. I cannot thank you enough, guys. Everybody that's listening, do me a favor. If you like this episode, if you like other episodes, share it with somebody. Share it with a parent. Share it with a coach. Don't be stingy with this stuff. I know that learning this stuff can be a huge help for your athlete, for your program, and can feel like, oh, that's the edge I need. I really want everybody to, and I've had people say that. It's like, hey, I want you to come and work with my team. And when I ask for, hey, you got anybody else that, you could refer to me? And they're like, well, yeah, kind of, but I want this edge. And I get that, but I put this together because I want everybody to succeed. And I think if we can just grow the entire, athletics culture, the better, because there's a lot of things being done incorrectly in our athletic culture. And I think that if you are in athletics in any sport, it's you should want to see the entire system and the culture grow in a way that it's mentally healthy for kids. So do me a favor, take this show, take an episode that you like, share it with somebody, help me out, help everybody out, help us get better, because there's a lot of ways it's going in the bad direction mentally with athletes, and it's tough and it's scary, and I don't want that, and we shouldn't want that. So do me a favor, you get an episode you like, send it to somebody, and I sure appreciate that. And when I post this stuff, like, share, comment, subscribe, all those things just really helps the old algorithm out. So thanks so much. It's been a great episode. It's been the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman, and always remember, forge your metal. Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your metal.